To focus on to this, business students from the continent will be able to apply for bursaries worth R1 billion to study at the Regenesys Business School. Former Miss South Africa and Play Your Part Ambassador Sasha-Lee Laurel joins me now to talk more about this. Sasha-Lee, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. Perhaps just give us a little bit of context in terms of how this all started and why this was close to your heart.
Thank you so much. So great to be here. I think it definitely started with collaboration. I think, in school we often taught to work alone, but I don't think in life that that's something that works, because there's so many people that made this possible. The likes of our chairman, Dr. Marco Servania, and the likes of Brand South Africa definitely championed something like this, because we saw it as, something that's a necessity, especially in Africa and in South Africa specifically. You need to bring about solutions that speak to what it means to be, a young person in a very, a young democracy with all of these challenges. And I don't think that when we provide solutions do we look into the socio-economic state of everything. So I think it was great to have collaborated with them to make this a reality for the rest of Africa. Yeah.
And how exactly will this work, especially these bursaries that we speak of?
So we would be giving the students the likes of a 60% subsidy towards their tertiary education. And how it would work is that they would pay an amount of 500 Rand every month. And it's a very important thing for them to do, actually, because it speaks about accountability. It's not necessarily a payment towards their education, because a lot of these institutions, we're not allowed to exactly study and then get our transcripts if we aren't able to pay the full amount up front. And we find with the likes of students with lack of access to education, and being one of the students who was in Fees Must Fall, we kind of looked for a better way to see to it that people were able to elevate themselves, but were also able to do it on their own terms. So we see to everything. We see to textbooks, we see to their registration fee. So all they need to do is basically set time aside to ascertain that they are able to carry on with their tertiary career education, and then we would see to it that they get a 60% subsidy thereafter once they have successfully completed the program.
Who's eligible?
Who's eligible? I think it's a matter of, looking into, from the finance perspective, I think there's a lot of blurred lines there from the student side, because a lot of them think because they earn a certain amount of money that they're not necessarily eligible. And that's not the case, because we're here to see to the missing middle. So the missing middle is the people who may have a few assets, but don't exactly fall within the poverty, the plane of poverty. And then also for the kids who find themselves in poverty, because I feel like there are a lot of ways to get sponsors, given the fact that, it is a small amount and the student is allowed to carry on with their tertiary career and also allowed to pay, the balance later. But now what's great is that we've opened this up to people who have successfully completed grade 11 but haven't been able to complete their matric. I think this doesn't speak to promise, it speaks to circumstance. A lot of us find ourselves in positions of being in child-headed homes, and it doesn't exactly allow us to fulfill our potential. And I think a lot of people have been left behind. I mean, looking at the stats, you find that only around, I think it's about 50% of us have actually completed our NQF level 4 in this particular cohort, people under the age of 35. So I think it's a great opportunity to find a way to actually onboard new people into the program that haven't had, a fair chance at fulfilling their potential.
Sasha-Lee Laurel, thank you very much for your time, and anyone who's interested can visit your social media pages. We understand applications close on the 31st of January next year.